then, oh yes, you're recording. Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot to record.
I was about to remind you before, and I was like, no, she's got it. Is I'm asking myself, is this person got a thyroid issue if they haven't had it diagnosed before, or are they experiencing the symptoms of perimenopause, or is it a bit of both? Because they present the same, and it's, unless you've got testing in front of you, it's hard to determine one, to the other. I mean, the symptoms are the same. I've written down: irritable, sensitive nervous system, brain fog, poor energy, or sometimes you're hyper, just depending on what's going on, sleepless, can't get to sleep, can't shut off your brain, irregular menstrual cycles, sometimes heavy bleeding, sometimes absent cycles, increase in body fat, particularly around the torso. That's a very specific perimenopause one. It looks the same as Hashimoto's, and often it comes together with the soreness in the body. So often perimenopause, menopause, when the estrogen drops, progesterone drops, and quite often testosterone too, which gets completely put to the side for women, but is very important. Your muscles get sore, your joints get sore. It's like, I kind of liken it to like how I felt after I had my second baby. You get like,
how old were you?
Massive soreness. So I had my second baby when I was 40, almost, 40 and a half.
Michelle, this is Laurie Michelle.
Hello.
I met Laurie at Moorbark. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to train, and that's how I met Kate. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. I think sometimes as naturopaths, we simplify things a little bit too much, and it gets misinterpreted by the person that we're speaking to. I've heard this from a lot of my clients. Or my previous naturopath said I didn't need thyroxine, or the doctor said, your thyroid's a little bit low, but it's okay for the moment. Let's just watch your weight and not do anything about it. And I suppose it depends on the individual. Like, do you have Hashimoto's? I think you were saying that you did, or no? Mm. I see. So this is really common. So I get women coming in, whether it's recent or whether it was 2 decades ago, they've got a thyroid diagnosis, but they're not really sure why. So one of the first things that we do is find out why. Is this just that, your body is aging and you've got a suboptimal thyroid function? That was my problem. I didn't have anything wrong with my immune system. It was just a systemic problem, not thyroid-driven problem with my own metabolism, which is resolvable very easily. But if you have Hashimoto's, as in you're producing antibodies that attack various components of thyroid function, whether that's a transporter or a protein, and the tissue itself, then it's a little bit of a different game than just someone who has sluggish thyroid during perimenopause or because of other systemic issues like insulin resistance, for example. So I think, one, there's a myth to clear up that being on thyroxine is bad. It is not bad. I'm pro-thyroxine if you need it. It's a critical hormone. It is essential for life. And if your thyroid is so damaged from the previous autoimmune process, sometimes there isn't a way to completely heal the thyroid gland itself. I was chatting to someone the other day, a client friend, and she showed me some of her thyroid ultrasound results, and her thyroid is actually tiny, like it's shrunk. It's really little, and she has Hashimoto's. So obviously that person needs thyroxine. Their thyroid is not going to recover. The organ is damaged, right? So we replace it. It's like someone who's a type 1 diabetic, they have organ damage, so they take insulin. Like, that's how critical thyroxine is for people. Like, it's critical for life. So when naturopaths say, oh, you don't need your thyroxine, or really, how many people are coming off thyroxine once they're on it? It's a small percentage of clients that are coming off it. But the system is still important, right? Like, same with perimenopause. It's the systemic health that is the priority, because you can take thyroxine, but your muscles are still going to be sore. Your joints are still going to be sore. You still need to look after insulin resistance. You still need to make sure your brain's working well. You know what I mean? So it's that's the long game that they're talking about, the holistic health component. And sometimes, as a benefit of that, people no longer have a thyroid problem. That was my example. As a benefit of really looking after myself well and getting onto the right herbal medicines and nutrients, I no longer had that thyroid problem anymore, that fatigue, that muscle soreness, etc. But the cause was different for me than it is for someone with an autoimmune condition. Yeah, it's hard with autoimmunity because it depends how severe, like when the floodgates opened, what were your initial triggers? And that's what holistic health providers aim to find out. Is it just a gut infection that's creating this massive autoimmune reaction, and can we solve that? Potentially they can. But I've got some clients who, once it's in motion, very difficult to completely go back in time and reverse it back to 100% normal, like forever changed because of an illness, if that makes sense. Yeah. 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 Makes a difference. Yes. Yeah. It's before 12, it's okay. Yeah, the sensitivity. And then being at perimenopause age, there's, an overlay of issues, other issues going on too. So it's interesting, but you really got to look after yourself. I always red flag it in my notes. If someone's like, oh, I stopped my thyroxine a month ago, but I didn't tell my doctor, I put warning notes in my clinical notes, because like, you really shouldn't be doing that, just suddenly stopping. Let your care providers know what you're doing, and they'll help you monitor you and figure it out. For some people it's appropriate, and others it's definitely not. So yeah, you need your thyroid working well, whether that's from a little bit of extra medication or whether that's from holistic health, especially to get through peri.
Good on you, Michelle, for being so disciplined to eat clean and do all those things, because I know you've got a background in health and you know what you're doing. But even though I do have that as well, I literally wanted to throw something out the window the other day. So I even said to Laurie, I don't care. Give me the hard stuff. This is ridiculous. And she said, we'll talk to the doctor about that. But the doctor actually said, no, talk to Laurie.
Yeah, your
The
doctor
doctor
was
doesn't
great,
even know
Kate, because
Laurie.
she didn't just jump into going bioidentical hormones. Because a lot of my clients say, look, I'm just done. Give me hormones. And I'm like, a naturopath. We don't prescribe hormones here in Australia. We're herbal all the way. And I think there's a very important place for herbal medicine to modulate hormones. And literally, that's my toolbox for hormone modulation is herbal medicine. And we're very good at it. Naturopaths have been doing herbal medicine for a long time, especially in the space of hormones. We can get really good results for people. And perimenopause is like the best time to start it. Because like I was saying to you, Kate, the other day, like you and I, like I'm 40, how old am I? 46. How old are you?
78.
47.
Laurie's 78. I think we're the
Yeah.
same. Yeah.
Same year. I think there's a bit of overlap, 46. Not quite a year between us. And like we're still ovulating, right? Maybe not always quite as regular as in the past, but still occurring. But what's happening to like both Kate and I is as we get older and move closer to 50, average age of menopause is about 51, but there's a wide variance as to when it occurs, but lots of genetic and environmental
So can I
influences.
just ask a question of the definition of menopause? Is the definition of menopause your actual last period? So don't technically know.
No,
What?
it's 12 months from your last period.
Oh,
So you're
okay.
still in
So after
perimenopause, and then like you need a year of no periods
okay, and then
for you
you
to be in
have entered
menopause
menopause
to get
and
that label.
you're fine.
You're in
And then
menopause.
technically the hormone should be okay then.
Well,
Jodie,
my
we'll get to
my
you. Sorry,
opinion as a naturopath,
yeah.
and from what I've observed over the last 20 years talking to people one-on-one, and my philosophical belief about natural medicine and the way the body works is that not everyone needs hormones until their last day to get to be amazing, right? The body is designed to go through this natural process. We go through puberty. When we're 8 years old, we're not having menstrual cycles. Our estrogen is not as high as it is right now, and our body is okay. So we're sort of going back to an original state, if that makes sense. So it's the withdrawal of hormone that time in perimenopause where the hormones are dropping that's problematic because your brain's like, I've got to figure out this new balance for myself again. I've got to rely on different organs a bit more than I did before. So adrenals to help with the production of progesterone, for example. But if you've been trashing your adrenals for 2 decades, working 16-hour days, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, mothering multiple children, or like me, having babies late at 40, then breastfeeding for a while, that's a low estrogen state, breastfeeding for ages, actually, and then moving straight into your perimenopausal years, that's a big deal. And lots of my naturopathic colleagues who are a bit older are talking a lot about this, like fertility being put off to a little bit later or conceiving children, and then going directly from the postpartum period or breastfeeding directly into perimenopause. Like, what kind of hell is that? That's, you're coming off the back of 4 years of sleep deprivation, and then you find yourself in the midst of perimenopause. It's really difficult. So, and that's why it's so hard to identify too.
Jodie, I'll get Jodie on now, if that's all right, to ask some
Yeah.
questions and stay in touch, Shell. She's an amazing resource, isn't she? Just keep typing questions, babe, and I'll let Jodie on. Show how to do this. Ready, Jode? Oh. Just see my house in the background, all the lounges are covered up from the dog. Feel free, keep talking, Laws.
Yeah. What we're saying, other organs, looking after yourself. Yeah. Adrenals. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. I'm seeing like right at the moment, like the last 12 months to 2 years, people are just exhausted before they even get into this hormonal shift. They're burnt out, they're tired, they're burning the candle at both ends, and they just don't have the resources to move through this transition fine. It's phenomenal coming in, how depleted we are coming into perimenopause. And then people are surprised. They're like, oh my gosh, I had a blood test for like the first time in 5 years. and I'm low in iron. My ferritin, like the iron stores, are rock bottom. My vitamin D is low. I'm actually anemic now. My liver enzymes are up. I've got fatty liver. Like, no wonder everyone's so tired with all this stuff going on. But then they're mad. Like, why didn't my doctor tell me? Why didn't anyone screen me for this stuff? And I mean, really, it's up to the individual to be proactive, which is a little bit sad. Unless you're seeing a naturopath, no one's going to remind you every year, hey, you got to do that blood test where we look at all those nutrients and make sure that you're well.
So can we actually address what would be the difference with regards to when you go get a standard, and this is something that I've always appreciated your perspective on, when you're going to get a standard blood test for your health from the doctor
Check us.
versus now I know this actually takes a consultation as well, as so that you can say, actually get them to check for this, which she wrote out for me. And the doctor's like, oh, that's interesting. And she's very open. But what are some of the, if there is a basic, what are some of the basic things that people could ask to be tested for? Because I know, back from basic supplement land and nutrient deficiency stuff, like, my knowledge is like very basic on this, but I know that we always had to ask for different forms of magnesium within the blood to be tested and stuff like that, because it wasn't just standard blood test is not the norm. And plus then you end up even if you end up in the average range, and that's acceptable, that's the average range of the population. So technically you really should be way above that anyway. But what are some of the things that people can ask for to be tested with their bloods?
I mean, the amazing thing these days is we can extract a lot of information from your standard sort of wellness check at a doctor. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be anything super special there. But as someone who's a nutritionist, like naturopaths are also mostly nutritionists as well, and in herbal medicine, the holistic philosophy is that we're looking at wellness, optimal wellness. We're not just looking for disease or the absence of disease. And that difference in philosophy changes the way that we test and changes the way that we analyze what's going on. So if you go into a doctor, they're looking for disease states. Okay, so you go in, you say, what's the most common thing? Like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I can't sleep. Okay. And if you're at the point where you're getting hot flushes and things, they're going to do a basic blood test, which is really useful. They're going to look at red cells and white cells. That's pretty standard blood test, doctor's blood test. It'll tell you if you're anemic, so if there's something wrong with your immune system. They'll probably look at liver enzymes, right, which can tell you some things, but some things aren't revealed just by liver enzymes. You can have fatty liver, for example, completely normal liver enzymes. They'll look at your fasting glucose, which is, if you're diabetic, something will show up there. But if you're not, if you're just insulin resistant, if you are insulin resistant, which is very problematic, it's not going to show up with a fasting glucose. You need a couple of other things, a fasting insulin, and preferably what they call a HbA1c, which is like a 3-month average of your glucose. I'm interested in hormones, and I do think it's useful testing hormones, but a lot of women in perimenopause, a doctor will say to them, there's no point testing hormones. Why do they say that? One, cycles might be irregular. So when they go in and test, they can't tell where you were in your cycle anyway to compare it to some kind of norm. Okay, yeah, I agree with you. Like an irregular cycle, sometimes it's not worth testing. We can tell from symptoms what might be going on. 2, they're looking at estradiol, E2, which is what we produce when we ovulate. Now, if you're not ovulating regularly, you'll probably have low E2. But what about the other estrogens that become more dominant when we come into menopause, E1 and E3? Are they being tested? No, they're not. So it's the type of testing. And then it's also, we've got Medicare. So all of this testing has to be paid for by somebody. Okay, it's under Medicare. It's you're paying your taxes or whatever. And then we get coverage for some sort of things, but they want to minimize cost on testing. So they're just doing the bare essentials to detect disease or confirm the absence of disease. Okay, we're not looking at wellness, for example. So if you're like iron stores, for example, Kate just went and did her iron study. Now with Medicare, they're only looking at ferritin, which is the iron store, is what most people get covered for on a first test. They're not looking at circulating iron or some of the transporters that give you more information about what's going on from a nutritional perspective or absorption perspective. We can work out a few things if we have more data, but Medicare not doing that anymore, just doing ferritin. Same with thyroid function as well. We're only testing TSH, not the other hormones, and it's a cost thing. So if you're willing to just pay that little bit extra, maybe work through a naturopath, someone like me who can direct you to the right type of testing that's a little bit more comprehensive.
So
Then
is there a standard, or is it different depending on the symptoms that people present with?
it depends how you present with symptoms as to what you're going to be tested for. So that's why it's important. Sometimes I'm an advocate for my clients. If they want to go through their doctor and they're exhausted and they can't live their life or do their work or look after their children, right? And then they go to the doctor, like most women, we're like, oh, it's not that bad, you know, I'm a bit tired. Just wondered if anything was wrong. Like that's as much information as you're giving the doctor in a 4 or 5 minute consultation. You're not going into detail about the massive impact that it's having on your life. Of course, they're not going to go to the nth degree to look for something major. They go, oh, we'll just screen you fine. Deficiency then. See what's happening. Yeah.
Can I ask on behalf of Jody? So memory and focus is becoming a challenge. Can we have a discussion about that, Jody? Can you also just expand about, like, the obvious thing would be sleep. How are you sleeping? And what other questions would you ask her, Laws?
Yeah, that's where we always start with sleep quality. Every naturopathic consultation, somewhere in the first sort of 10, 20 minutes, you'll be asked about your sleep. Sleep is critical to everything. All body processes, we require that quality rest at nighttime to restore our systems. Lack of sleep causes brain fog. But I think the most problematic thing with perimenopause for me personally was the memory, the focus, and like the sort of intellectual output became impacted for me. So
and you're doing a job that you've done for 20 years and you're finding that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the big shift for me, gosh, I'm sounding old now, was the digital shift. So moving away from doing things all hands-on. I would literally be in a physical clinic, mixing herbs, seeing the person face to face, getting that beautiful energetic interaction that you have with people when you see them, when you connect with them in real life. And then all of a sudden at this time of hormonal shift, moving into the digital space where it's not tangible anymore.
And
that
if we're
for
in
me
Melbourne,
was,
it's kind of like you could blame COVID as well. Sorry for talking over.
Yeah, we could say the C word too, because it has been problematic for many people. So this shift in work-life balance or where we're working from is huge. And to be honest, sitting at a desk all day, being in the digital space, it's exhausting for this frontal part of the brain. And, women, we're tactile, like we need some input that's tactile. I found the biggest things for me, other than being really serious about my digital boundaries, so screen times, not being on screen before bed, all of that sort of thing, was using a lot of nootropics, supporting my adrenals, because mine was really an adrenal thing, and a couple of nutrients. Now, my thyroid was impacting things too. Your thyroid health impacts the way your brain works. I had a critical iodine deficiency. Iodine is critical for brain health. And I would say probably 70, maybe even a bit more % of the clients that I see in my clinic are deficient in iodine. This is very common amongst Australian women, but it impacts cognition, to the point where kids, when they're in their developmental stages, right, that they will end up with cognition issues,
Would you say that
developmental delays if they don't have enough iodine.
Would you say, order? I think I know the answer to this question anyway, but Jodie's just written.
It's a bit late.
She ordered lion's mane. Is that good? In order of the biggest mover of what will make a difference, is it better to get more sleep if you're only getting 6.5 hours sleep? I'm looking at you, Jodie.
Sleep.
Is it better to get more sleep, or do you worry about iodine, lion's mane, and thyroid issues? Like
sleep always. Number one, sleep. Got to be sleep.
Don't worry about the complicated stuff.
Yeah. The second most important thing, you got to get oxygen delivery to that brain, circulation, right?
Breathing.
So what we always talk about, Kate, movement. Majority of the clients that I see, even though I came from a background like being in gyms and seeing clients that were exercising. Now, right now, in my clinic, most of my clients do not exercise on a regular basis. And like, how good do you feel if you go out for a little like 15-minute? Took my kids into the forest the other day just on a whim, and we like didn't realize the path was going like right up a hill, like right up to Mount Dandenong. And I was only like 15 minutes, but I was like, oh man, my brain is really switched on now, getting all ideas and things like that. It's because of the increase in blood flow to the brain, right? And sitting here at a desk doesn't help. So they're the two things. I would sleep and I'll get your circulation going, whether that's exercise or something else. Like, you know, you got to do those things. And then have someone look at your nutritional factors because they play a big role. Lion's mane is great. Like if you've done all the rest of that and the rest of the key movers are fine, then, you know, lion's mane might make a difference for you.
It's funny, I feel like I'm going to end up doing a lot of breath work, you know, purposely breathing, because what's the one thing that if you don't have enough of you, nothing, no function works in any of
Yeah.
this, like oxygen transportation, if you just don't get enough air.
Don't get enough air in. Yeah.
The basics.
I used to train like in singing, like back ages ago. I used to be a bit of a singer or wannabe. And I was training for this like opera school. And I would do like training like in the morning, like 7 a.m. But that's all deep breathing, right? Massive deep breathing. And your brain would like feel alive. It's like an exercise session. So meditation, breathing,
I also think,
exercise, however that.
and the noise, like our throat, the noise, and we're going on, this is a different, completely different tangent now, but the sound healing and your
Yeah.
own sound
Energetically.
is healing.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah, sorry, go.
I was going to say, and like when we're in perimenopause, our metabolism is sluggish, our thyroid hormones are tanking because of many reasons.
We're meant to be doing a different phase
Where
of
is it?
life.
Here. It's right where your voice box is, like your creative center, your voice, your message to the world, your purpose. If everything is sluggish, your metabolism, you know what I mean? You can
Yeah,
see
and then you've got
how,
this, you're around 42 and above, and so you've got the seventh chakra opening. So
yeah,
even I've got old retired friend who was one of my very first clients 25 years ago. She even said, and she's like in her 60s now, she's like, the only thing that's changed about me, Kate, is I like plants a bit more.
yeah,
That's
that's
very
so funny.
weird,
I'm really
isn't
into
it? You see it in growth.
botany
Pardon?
as well at the moment. I'm really into botany as well at the moment. It's one of the reasons why I loved herbal medicine in the beginning. It's like, isn't it fascinating that a plant or a leaf or a root or something can have this effect on the body, like that alchemy? I find a lot of that is coming back into my life right now.
Yeah, you can
Um,
see I would have been a witch in another life. I was thinking that the other day. Like, I've
yeah,
definitely been
that's
burnt
what
up.
when I was 9 years old, if you asked me what I want to be, that would be it. The mixing, the potions, and the alchemy and the herbal medicine, like that interests me much more now than ever before. But yeah, speaking our message and our truth is gives you a lot back, if that makes sense.
It's
Like,
it's critical, isn't it? I'm finding it's actually
yeah,
more critical
it
that
goes around.
I paint than I lift weights and sweat. Like, I'm lucky that I have a sauna to go in now, so that's
Yeah,
the sweating component's taken care of, and I walk a lot and I'll lift weights gently once a week.
yeah.
Like, I don't know who is this person. No.
I think there's flip sides to having looked after yourself really well for a long period of time. So it's funny. I've got two types of clients. Most of them are like people interested in their well-being. They're already actively doing things to really care for themselves and maybe have been for a long time. Then I've got other clients who they're just been blessed with great genetics, right? So 20s and 30s, they're just cruising through. They're great. Everything's fantastic. They don't really have to do very much. Like just go about their normal life, right? And they're getting over their challenges and sleepless nights and stresses, and then they're just back to normal after a bit of rest. But then, hello, mid-40s, all of a sudden the recovery capacity is not as great. The tolerance to stress is not as great. Don't forget with perimenopause, like, yes, we've got these lowering hormones. Everyone's like, oh, hormones, estrogen's low, progesterone's low, but we've actually got physical aging occurring in the background as well. So mitochondria, maybe not as great as they were before, like aging tissues and skin. We all like to deny it, but like it's happening. Like you see changes in your skin, like the way you recover from exercise. So we got this aging process. And all of a sudden these clients who have gotten away with everything in the past because of great genetics, now they're like, oh, but like I'm eating the same thing, but now I'm gaining weight. and like, well, let's adjust your diet a bit. Maybe you can't drink alcohol every night anymore. And we need to like modify the amount that you're drinking. And they're like, oh, it's so hard, because they've never had to do it before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then there's people like you, always your whole life have trained, being able to thrash yourself, being fit, strong, resilient, right? For the most part. And now we're in perimenopause. I'm like, my God, we have to change our training now. It's more
I
about
can't even,
recovery than it is
can't
about the
even get up at
session
6 o'clock.
itself.
Can't
Yeah.
even get up at 6 o'clock and train anymore. I'm like, oh, well, I'm sure I probably could if I got to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock, but maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know. I wasn't disciplined enough to try that. So Jodie,
Yeah.
I'm with you on the actual sleeping thing. I feel you with needing sleep.
Sleep. Yeah. More than 6 hours. Yeah. Try,
Try more. Actually, I
go
was
for
listening
the
to
8.
a brain CEO, a brain, where is my brain? A podcast the other day, and they were talking about the best athletes in the world get
Mm.
around 60 hours sleep a night. So that's on average 9 hours a night.
Mm.
That's between 8 and 9
Yeah.
minimum.
Yeah.
That's dedication, isn't it? That's my lesson to learn.
That is. I think you do get into a pattern though. Like once you're setting boundaries around sleep and you're consistent with it, you miss it when you don't do it.
What do you think about the whole when you wake up and you're tossing and turning and you can't go back to sleep, which I've noticed in the last couple of years is me maybe 2 days before I would get my period,
Yeah.
which is obviously, is that progesterone dropping? But then what do you think of the theory of we'll just get up, walk around, move around,
I
then go
suppose
back?
it depends what time it is. I was saying this to a client a few weeks ago. She was like, but Laurie, I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning every morning. And I was like really stressing her out. She's anxious about this early morning waking at night when she goes to bed. She's like, oh God, am I going to wake up at 4:30? I was like, why are you anxious? You're anxious because you're tired, you're needing more sleep at 4:30, like you're exhausted and your body doesn't want to get up? Or are you just anxious because it's early and nobody else is up? Like, just get up. And she's complaining, I don't have time to exercise. I was like, well, you've had 7 hours. Just get up, go out, go to the gym. Gym's open at 4:30. Go work out. Like, make it a positive thing. But I really think it depends how much sleep you've already had. But the anxiety of not sleeping sometimes makes it worse.
Oh, absolutely, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You've got to tell yourself, I'm going to get a good night's sleep tonight and just
yeah,
hope for the best.
yeah.
Usually my nickname's Wombat with my close relatives and stuff because have always been able to sleep, but it's a
Yeah,
little bit disturbed now. But still pretty good. I'm pretty
so
lucky.
pretty good. I do. You remember when Kate and I did some training together with Charles Poliquin, a long time ago. We both had similar interests, way back when we met in the gym. And I think we used to meet a little organic store somewhere out in Eastern Melbourne. I was like, hey, I know you from somewhere from the gym. But we used to talk about like the gratitude journals. This is like before it was a thing.
Social media
And
wasn't a thing, but anyway.
Charles Poliquin, who used to give all the best bits of naturopathy out as little tidbits for his
Steroids. Yeah.
athletes, would say like every night he would write down or even talk through with his child 5 things that day that they were grateful for and jot it down. But that's what I do when I wake up and I can't get back to sleep, which is not very often for me these days, is I do that, the gratitude, and just get my mind in a good place, or I brain dump into a handwritten journal. Like,
I so believe that people need a notepad next to their bed
yeah,
to write stuff down. That definitely
yeah.
works. Yeah.
Because it's normally because I'm stressing about something happening the next day. So I'll write it down. What are my worries? This, sometimes it's like, oh, I've got to pick up that thing for my kid or, so I just brain dump it on a piece of paper and then you don't have to wake anyone, have a chat.
Do you use those
And
blue
get back
light
to sleep.
glasses? Do you think they're any good? Guys, if you've just jumped on Instagram, please feel free to ask a question. We'll be here for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Laurie's a naturopath, has got like closer to 25 years experience, and she also strength trains, and she's married to one of Melbourne's best strength training coaches.
Do I use blue light blockers? I
Yeah.
think they're really useful. I don't use them myself though, because I'd rather just switch the screens off, to be honest.
I understand. I just think it's like I'm overly sensitive now to the point where I'm going to have to put the filters on everything, and I'm more,
Yeah.
I'll watch. You'll see a short video, and you'll get a little bit paranoid for a minute, and then go, oh, fucking whatever. I don't have the time to care as much as I used to, because I never would have touched a plastic bottle a while ago.
Yeah.
But for example, I was listening to something about the resonance in the screens, and they've always known. I've been a conspiracy theorist since I was 19, by
Yeah,
the way.
like the
None of the
flicker, is that what you
surprises.
mean? Like the flicker of the light?
I don't know. Just talking about
Yeah.
the frequency, the fact that it's every screen is a blue light, which
Yeah.
is harmful for, I don't know, us little people over here who are being extra sensitive going through
Well,
perimenopause.
that's why like most of my videos are a little bit yellow. Like you can see, it's because I have them on most of the time on my screens. I
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
orange filter on there.
yeah.
And I use incandescent lights. I know they're not energy friendly, but I have those eco lights in my lounge room, and the flicker, like they're just too intense. We just switch them off at night. We use lamps and things like that around the house, and we just go with kind of natural cycles. Plus I wear contact lenses. So I'm just, if I put a pair of glasses on, I get a headache. Because most blue light blockers, they'll add a little bit of from the thickness of the neutral lens, you get a change in vision, a slight change. I mean, I notice it because I'm already vision corrected.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, I do have them. I've tried them. I've tried multiple pairs, but I can't stand them. Don't like them.
I don't know either. But
I'd rather
I've
just switch the
heard
light
the yellow
off.
ones work. The only ones that work are the yellow ones. My other nutrition friend, like you, has said the white one, the clear ones don't work. Get the yellow ones.
Yeah. But yeah, for some people, it's a good solution. I mean, if you have to be on screens, if you have to do work at that time of the night, I mean, go for it. It's a great idea if you're flying, if you're in those environments, workplaces sometimes with those offensive lighting in the evening, then, use them. But I'm not a fan myself, no.
I think grounding is well underplayed as well. Like the impactfulness, the positiveness. I would say I'm lost for words as well, in terms of just standing on the earth as
Yeah,
often as
standing on the earth. It's all that
I can't
tactile stuff
imagine if
is
I was
completely
grounded.
missing from our modern lives.
Yeah.
Hug someone, go outside, put your hands in the garden, um, you know, whatever floats your boat. The other night I was feeling really stressed. I went outside and we've got a big property, sort of a kind of like a paddock, I suppose, in the background, backyard paddock, bit overgrown, like a bush block. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to have a little fireplace outside. It was so nice. And then the kids had all gone inside. I was outside in the dark with my fire. And
I
they're
so
like,
want
Mom, come
a
inside.
pet.
And I was like, you know what? I'm so chilled right now with no phone, just looking at the glowing embers. The sky was great. It was such a therapy for me.
I was about to make a joke about, and we didn't end up. Did you see the fire brigade going up to Monbulk in East Melbourne? That was because Laurie started a fire.
Well, the fire alarms are always going on off up here for something or other.
Oh,
Not fires, but
all right.
other
We might
things.
let
Anyway, we're getting
Laurie
off
relax
track.
her brain. No, well, not. It's health
Yeah.
stuff. I'm just seeing if there's any more questions. Let me check my emails. That doesn't seem to be.
While you check.
Anything
But I
else.
think it's those things that are really underplayed. Everyone's so focused on the hormone, on the estrogen, on the progesterone, and we
Or
haven't
the
even started
supplement,
talking about
or like
testosterone yet.
this supplement, that supplement. I was doing the same. I even bought that. What's that mineral thing called? The Shigillagit,
Oh,
whatever
Shilajit. Yeah.
that stuff's
Yeah.
called. And
I mean, great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. They're fantastic. But are they going to move the dial for you symptom wise and change your life? Probably not. Probably not. It's probably that walk outside that's going to have the most impact. Like the boring stuff, the basic stuff. Tony always says, that's my partner, is a strength coach. She's always like, the basics are still the basics.
yeah.
It hasn't changed. We know a lot more about exercise science than we ever had before, but the basics are still the basics. Most people need to be doing compound movements and they're not.
And please don't drink tap water. Sorry, I just remember that as always. If I send a client to you, and because you're a naturopath, you go quite far into things, and then I'd get them back and we'd start talking. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
filter your
are you
water.
drinking? You are drinking a couple of litres. That's good. Oh, no, it's like tap water. I'm like, yeah, but Melbourne's got the cleanest water. Melbourne's got the cleanest water because your chlorine level's the highest in Australia as well. So
Well, do we have the cleanest water? Really?
I don't know. That
I don't know.
was
I'm on
just
tank water.
something that
Mine's pretty
people
filthy.
would well, yours is up there in the.
Well, we saw that recent media article about toxicity in the water, the PFAS, the forever chemicals in Sydney water. Probably not much different here in Melbourne. I don't know if
Definitely.
anyone has watched the documentary Dark Waters, but I've went away and watched that for the first time a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I still had one lingering non-stick pan in my cupboard that I used occasionally from time to time. Anyway, I threw it out that day. And we're all stainless steel now. But
can I tell you a tip that I've only recently learned that's changed my life about pans using saucepans? Sorry, this might be one of those moments of, yeah, I can't believe I was like 46 when I learned this. I don't know if I think I'm 46. Was if you let the saucepan heat up, stainless steel or otherwise, let it heat up first,
yeah,
then put the butter in and whatever you're going to cook. It's non-stick. That was life-changing.
yeah, because the material expands. Yeah, the little crevices close, and then you put your oil in. Yeah, when the water beads, do you do the flick test with the stain? I've had this scan pan, stainless steel pan for like ever and a day. My husband and I, it's like the best thing we've ever bought for our kitchen. This scan pan, stainless steel pan. People are like, but what do you do? Like, because we cook like my husband's family are Calabrese. We cook like the coteletti, like the chicken schnitzels. My daughter loves them. But how do you cook them? Not in a non-stick pan. But we do that. You let it heat up first. Then you do the flick test with the water. You just splash some water on it, and the water beads and runs across the sort of dances across the top of the pan. That's when it's ready. Then you can add a little bit of your heat stable oil and yeah. But pans, but I was just about to say that's the other thing, like adrenals, looking after your adrenal health, critical. But the other thing is detoxification, like your liver. Liver needs a lot of help at our age, and we become sensitive to everything because our liver's not processing and detoxifying as well. One of the things that I noticed in perimenopause was I was so freaking itchy sometimes. Itchy. Everything's itchy. Everything irritates me. Now I'm taking some pills, I'm like much better. But it's that sort of histamine craziness that can happen around perimenopause that can be a bit chaotic as well. Yeah, so tissues get really sensitive and can get irritated super easily. So sometimes we've even got to change like all of these normal things that we're used to doing. You got to change your moisturizer, change the skincare, change the type of hair care stuff that you're using. Even all the cleaning and stuff. Wear some gloves at least, or get rid of all of those chemicals from your household because they're just going to make things worse, really.
Yeah, don't wash the dishes in stuff that's got plastic coating on it. Jane, have you got any questions? I know you're looking forward to jumping on today. Do you want me to put you on the Instagram live? I can see that you're there. I'm not sure if you're driving or something. Sorry, Laws, you're in mid-sentence.
Yeah, keep going. But with detoxification, it's interesting because in perimenopause, one of the strange things about perimenopause is that we get fluctuating estrogen. It doesn't just taper off nice, like, let's just down, and then you can take some hormones. That's not how it works. One cycle you might have high levels of estrogen, other cycles you'll have low. And quite often we get this thing that is the most common presentation in Australian women is not like kind of true estrogen dominance where estrogen is in excess. It's that there's not enough progesterone to counter fairly normal levels of estrogen. So we end up with this unopposed estrogen for a lot of our cycle. To detoxify estrogens well and have a really what we call a protective ratio or a protective estrogen quotient or EQ, healthy detoxification of estrogen like protects you against certain illnesses. What we need to be doing is detoxifying and transforming these estrogens in an appropriate way and maybe clearing them even via the bowel. And we need liver detoxification to be working well. We need our gut health and our level of beneficial bacteria to be optimal in order to do that process efficiently. And so we've got chronic low-grade illness occurring before we get to perimenopause. Most of us have got some baggage with our gut health, baggage with the way we've been treating our adrenals, bit of baggage with the amount of toxicity in our system. And then all of a sudden we're needing to rely on these organs to do this work for us to get us through perimenopause in a relatively easy type of way. And they can't do the job because they've already been previously burdened by long-term chronic problems. So the whole systemic wellness approach to menopause is super important. Let's not get too carried away with hormones and things, but really look after ourselves as a whole being.
And I know you agree with this as well. You just reminded me of, as you were talking about that, I thought, oh, wow, this is getting really negative. Because you can go down that track, can't you? But like it's so understated the importance of the more muscle tissue you have, which I know you don't feel like training. I don't sometimes either, but you have to lift heavy stuff because we have to tear and regrow muscle tissue, because
Yeah.
then you have more insulin receptor sites. Everything is better.
Yeah. Well, there's a critical turning point with naturopathic therapy for me personally, and hopefully for the client that's experiencing the therapy. And it happened just this morning. I was on consults before I got on with you, and a client said to me, she's feeling better energy-wise, so now she's training. I'm like, hallelujah. From here on, the exercise is a catalyst and we're going to get much better results. You're not pushing crap uphill anymore. Because exercise gets the circulation going, so it makes you feel better, right? But also we have this, what they're now calling myocentric medicine, muscle-centric medicine. Aging is, the way that we age is, changed, improved, or influenced by the amount of muscle mass that we have. You can counter all of those metabolic diseases that happen in the Western world, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, things like dementia, now called type 2, now called like a brain kind of diabetes. All of those can be made better by having adequate muscle mass. So really critical to preserve, if not increase for most people, muscle mass. Because, once you stop ovulating, the bone density, it's going to start to tank a little bit. But if you start with an amazing amount of muscle mass and you've already had that positive stress on the bones, you're going to be in a much better place. So I always feel like we've got to make hay while the sun shines. While we're ovulating, while we've got estrogen going, it may not be every cycle, but most cycles. While we've got good testosterone levels, you got to hit the weights. Yes, for muscle, metabolic health, but also bone density. It's critical. Most women, the mortality, the reason why they might pass away when they're older, a lot of it is related to mobility issues. Okay. Quality of life declines if you can't move. If you've got osteoporosis and, fall over and, break your leg at 60, it's problematic because then it influences your ability to exercise and move. And then all of the other conditions start to snowball because you're not moving. So maintaining mobility is huge.
Can you tell that story, Laurie, that you mentioned the other day with regards to the client being on holidays and then noticing things change with stress? And when you do, I just want to, so that people feel better, please know if you don't start exercising when you're 30, 40 or 50 or whatever, it doesn't, I know it matters. They say it matters. I had a client when I was younger who started when she was 72, and she only came into the gym because the doctor said you're borderline hospitalization. You're needing to be hospitalized because of your bone density issues. She'd always walked, but she needed to do weight training. In 12 months, when she got retested, her bone density had gone up 9%, and they expected with Fosamax that she was on that it might go up 2%. So they scanned her 3 times because he didn't believe that it had gone up so much. And this was she started when she was 72.
Yeah.
So,
does anyone follow Train with Joan on Instagram? If you don't follow her, follow her. You want a bit of training inspiration. An older woman who started training in was it her 60s? I don't know. So inspiring.
Yes.
But with medications for like osteoporosis, the best that they're hoping for is maintenance. The best. So you've already had a decline. They just want to stop you declining or slow the rate of decline. Very rare is it that they see a client increase bone density once you're beyond menopause. You just don't hear of it. Is it possible? Yes, I've seen it happen. I mean, you've probably seen it happen in some of your PT clients and stuff from a while ago. It absolutely can happen. But what's the common thing amongst all of those individuals that had an increase was they were putting positive stress on those bones, and that is weight training, is walking. Clients say to me, but I walk. Yeah, but that's just your body weight you're walking around with. That's your everyday stressor. You've got to go above the everyday in order to improve. So the weight training is critical. You can take calcium supplements until the cows come home. It won't make a difference.
What about that lady in the stress story of her being on holidays? Because I think it's a good one to be able to relate to.
Oh yeah, people, it's not working. My body fat's not changing. And they're doing the supplements. Yeah, look, they're getting a bit of an improvement. and then they go on holidays, and they relax, and they walk around, checking out the sights. They're not on their computers all day. They're with people they love. They're socializing. They're eating together. Guess what happens when they come back after 2 weeks? You can see it in their face. Their face looks different. No fluid retention. Body fat is reduced. They've lost sort of 2 or 3%, and they're not even training as much as they were before. And they're just feeling a lot better in themselves, and they're sleeping. Yeah. So it's the stress reduction is huge. And we talk about not being able to heal in the same environment that you got sick in. I mean, this person's literally picked up and changed their entire environment. They've headed to a beach instead of, being up in the Yarra Ranges like I am, where there's barely any daylight, throughout winter. They're shifting their whole body into a new environment where they're getting sunshine all day. I mean, it's just phenomenal, the impact it can have. And I was saying to Kate the other day, I sometimes feel a bit like the supplements, yes, they're important. They're a catalyst. They can help bring back balance to the body. But the things that are going to maintain you are the environment, what's going on in your environment. Are you in an environment that's conducive to a healthy perimenopause? Maybe not. Maybe we need to ask ourselves some hard questions about the way that we work, the relationships that we have, the places that we're living, and where we're choosing to spend our self-care time. Are we sitting down on the couch with a bottle of wine,
I was going to say, don't go
Netflix
to
and
the pub
chill?
anymore. Is that what you mean? Just kidding.
I used to love meeting up with you, Kate, because you used to always go, "Come, we'll walk and talk. Let's go for a walk."
I hate sitting down. Everyone,
When we had little
if
kids.
someone messaged me the other day, we should catch up and have a coffee. Actually, why walking to you?
Let's walk and talk
every day. Come for a walk with me.
There's a therapist up in the hills. I can't remember his name, but he does his psychology sessions up here, walking around the forest.
Coached somebody, and
Right.
she did walk and talks.
Walk and talk.
Yeah, and actually, it's easier for males as well. Because if you need to bond with a male, they prefer
do eye
over
contact.
a table, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but it's so important to get out there and get moving. So asking ourselves hard questions about our environment is important. And I follow a wellness professional who talks a lot about menopause. I'm trying to remember her first name, but Hardwick Collins. She talks about, the wise woman and this change in persona that occurs around this time. And the importance of that and how our society doesn't value it. And so I think some of the resistance in perimenopause and menopause is that, who will I be when I'm not able to reproduce anymore? What is my value to the world? Yeah.
And you're not the sexy young thing and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we so don't and respect the elders.
Yeah.
In all situations, like a lot of the situations now that I'm in, I'm the oldest person in the room.
Yeah.
Just bizarre. I don't feel a day older than 21, as we all don't. And my mum even says the same thing. She's 75. She's like, I don't feel older than 21. And I've just walked past the mirror and I'm like, who's that?
Yeah, it's like your persona is like fixed at a certain age. Like it's so interesting. But you've got so much wisdom to give other people, and mentoring someone or sharing your experiences if they want to listen. Is part of moving through this phase, I think.
Let's change this as a culture, or let's change it in our little circles anyway. It's important. I'm starting an older exercise group because I want my mum to make some friends outside of what she's doing. She even went to the local community centre and got their pamphlet of what they do, because I told her to do that. It's taken her multiple years to do that. They don't do anything apart, like there's nothing on. So I rang them and said, can I come in there? How would it work if I did this? They're like, oh, we've been waiting for someone to come and do an exercise session for the community.
Yeah, you need someone who gets it. And it's amazing, like the people that you meet in that environment where you're exercising and you're trying to improve your health. There, when a PT was saying to me the other day, hey, Matilda, if you're watching, you make really good friends in the gym because you're both working on bettering yourself, you're accepting of each other. you're just on kind of on the same page. I think it's true for older people too.
Absolutely. But we forget that, and I mean, we think, oh, we don't have anything in common with them. I think the way our school system is that we're expected to be friends with people of our same age, but the way better cultures and societies live, like, for example, men and women live to their, 120 in Sicily or places like little pockets of the world, in the blue zones, the named pockets of the world, because they have multiple people of different age groups in their life and they've got a purpose as well. Really, I'm definitely, well, touch wood, hopefully I'm not planning to put mum or myself go into a nursing and retirement home. I think we're supposed to be contributing our whole lives. It's really important.
But I mean, not being in a nursing home, let's get back to perimenopause, it's about mobility, it's about bone density and cognition, right? They're all the things that we're trying to protect as we go through perimenopause and menopause. It's super important. I was going to say something there, but I forgot what it was. Time for some more herbs, Kate. But yeah, we've got to really look after ourselves at this phase of life. It's like, we've both got teenagers. It's the same thing. It's just a shift in dynamic, something new to get used to. You're still yourself, but it's just a little bit different. You've got to work out how to help yourself. But that involves, it's what we would call being coachable, but you've got to be open to trying new things, discovering new things, figuring out a few things about yourself and working through that kind of experimentation process with a bit of guidance until you find out what's going to work well for you. So same as kind of, guiding a teenager through those formative years, creating some healthy boundaries.
Please feel free to share this. Click the share button on Instagram if you're finding this helpful, because the whole goal with this is just to get the word out. I know there's a lot of discussion going on about this topic at the moment. Personally, I haven't tuned into a lot of it because I have this person as a friend that I actually pay her for consultations as well, because I think we should do that. I'll leave her details somewhere near this video.
I say if anyone wants to chat with me, you're quite welcome. I have these little appointments called like health resets, 20-minute kind of discovery calls where we can kind of meet face to face. We can talk about what's going on for you, see if I'm the right person to help you. If I'm not, I have an amazing network of lots of other naturopaths who all have their own specialties, other healthcare professionals that might be able to help you and always direct you in the right direction. Or we can discuss what might work for you with natural medicine. Or where to start from. So we always try and give an action for that first appointment. So you sort of don't go away with nothing, but you'll have something to do and continue with. And if you want to engage in therapy, that's fine. If not, I'm just happy to meet you and say hi. So they're all available on my Instagram page. But I think you've just got to start somewhere, pick one thing and do that rather than try and do all the things all at once. So whether that's, get out and go for a walk this week, just one thing. I'm pulling back on coffee. That's my one thing at the moment. Like, that's not really overly complicated, is it? Say my one thing.
Yeah.
I'm pulling back on the coffee.
What does that mean? You're not having it, or you're going from 3 to 1?
No, I'm still having it. God, okay, I'm not going to stop. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what I meant. What does that mean for you? Were you having 6?
For me, that means not having like 2, maybe 3 per day. Okay. That's just like 1. Okay. Just 1.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah. And just before a certain time, okay, because it's going to keep me awake otherwise. And it definitely does affect the hormones. But I was going to say, Kate, like if a lot of people aren't ready for hormone therapy or don't want to do it, there's a whole nother discussion that we can have about bioidentical hormones, for, against, pros and cons, all that sort of stuff. But I really think that herbal medicine is underestimated at this phase of life. It really has a powerful impact. We have herbs, Kate, like chamomile, for example.
Oh, stop me from sleeping. Anyway.
Stop you from sleeping or keep you sleeping? But they actually
stops me from sleeping. Sorry.
Yeah, so we have people that are weird. Like you or me, if I take valerian, which is a sleep herb, I get the complete opposite effect of what another person might have. It's meant to be a sedative. For me, it keeps me awake. So we get little nuances like that a clinician can help you with. Like, we know about this stuff. But with chamomile, for most people, yes, it's a relaxant. It's a digestive. We all give it to our kids for colic. But it has a chemical in it, a biochemical, which is like progesterone. It's not progesterone. It's what we call a phytoprogestin, but it interacts with the progesterone receptor. I mean, that's phenomenal. Something from nature, a chamomile flower extract, working like progesterone in your body, but yet it nourishes your nervous system. It stops bloating. It calms your digestion. Like, I mean, that's just like the perfect design, don't you think?
Guys, help
And
me turn this woman into Barbara O'Neill, please.
it's untapped. We can't talk about Barbara O'Neill. And this is the thing, like a lot of the things,
We're not
there's a
allowed
way
to.
that naturopaths do things in Australia because we're outside of the conventional medical system. There are a lot of advantages to that. You know, we don't
If you're
have
brave enough, there
pharmaceuticals in
are.
our toolbox. We only have natural medicines in our toolbox. That's it. And lifestyle factors. But there are also some problems about the way that we present ourselves in the media too. There's things that we can say, things that we can't say. A lot of people don't like the competition with, as one of my colleagues calls them, the pharmaceutical cartel, that they don't like natural medicine competition because, you know, there's no money in it for the suppliers or the pharmaceutical company. If everyone stops using bioidentical progesterone and they swap to using chamomile flowers, I mean, can you imagine the cost impact of that on a huge industry? So, you know, people are like, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. No, it's not. It's legitimate.
It's worked. I mean, that brainwashing since the 50s, 60s has
Yeah.
worked because it's, you know, those people that did actually know are
Yeah.
close to dying. However, I have loved COVID for that reason because, you know, I don't know, so many people that weren't conspiracy theorists are now conspiracy theorists. Like even
Yeah,
though
we're just opening up. This is what I'm talking about, opening up to new ideas, new things, trying new things. The thing with herbal medicine, I've always had a problem with like gatekeeping. I don't want to gatekeep knowledge anymore because herbal medicine is the people's medicine. It's community medicine. It's in your garden medicine. It's outside. I've got sage growing in my garden. I've got lemon balm growing in my garden. It's not, there's no one gatekeeping herbal medicine from you. It's just about applying it in the right way. And that's how a professional can guide you. So someone who's trained in herbal medicine knows what to do for what, how to mix the herbs, what the synergy is in a mix, what's best for each presentation, what the energetics of that herb are and how to apply it properly. And that saves time. So rather than experimenting and taking 3 months of Shilajit and Withania, like everyone's on that. Is that going to make a difference for that person in front of me? Probably not, because there's something else going on. Like they're anemic, they've got a critical iron deficiency. You know what I mean? So having a professional help you saves time, I think, more than anything else. And you can get professional quality medicines that are actually going to work rather than trying to figure out how to make a tincture from your chamomile flowers in the garden that only flower once or twice a year.
It comes down to the community thing, doesn't it? We're definitely not meant to be. We're not meant to be by ourselves doing the thing. We're just not.
No.
We weren't meant to be by ourselves having a baby. We're meant to be surrounded by groups of women. Anyway,
It's the same thing. We're meant to be by ourselves going through perimenopause.
Perimenopause retreat because we just need to take everybody to the beach.
Yes.
We'll have $5,000 drop into their account while they're there. So, I don't know. We'll have the Bitcoin expert come give us a chat. Anyway.
We need all areas of life. I think, well, that's the other thing with perimenopause. You're having this like restructuring of like your hormones, which physically restructures your brain. I don't know if anyone follows Diary of a CEO, but he had a great guest on the other day.
Yep, the brain neurosurgeon.
It's on my Facebook page if anyone wants to go to the link.
That felt so good to be understood. Actually.
Your brain is restructuring itself at this phase of life. You've got to be kind, but you know, physical restructuring. I mean, it's amazing what these hormones do. It's phenomenal. But, you know, we need our support systems around us while this is happening. We can't be the one doing everything for everybody.
Yeah, the kids, and we're at the age of looking after the kids and having to look after the parents and stuff.
Yeah, so we're calling this generation the sandwich carer.
Oh,
teenage children or young children, aging parents. And guess where the perimenopausal woman is? In there, helping everybody.
Running to Italy to live her best life.
Yeah, that's what we're all doing. And you literally have to, you've got to carve those boundaries for yourself. You know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. Or I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do that. Or I'm going to outsource this. You know,
I have a problem with outsourcing. It doesn't need my kid to get a job. Actually, no, it's all right, because then I'd have to drive her there because she hasn't got a license yet. She has had a job before.
Yeah. And, you know, you can't be everything to everyone either. So,
People are in your family.
yeah.
Actually, then that's why I rely on my friends as well. You have to grow your family. Grow your family, get some good friends. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Get some people
the
around you that
generation before us.
understands.
Pardon?
People around you that understand what's happening.
I shared that podcast with my partner, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's listened to it. He probably wouldn't. But maybe in 5 or 10 years, he will come to me and tell me about what happened. Because the other day he was telling me, he said, "Did you know I'm supposed to have 0.9 milligrams of sea salt? It's like really good for your heart." I said,
That's so funny.
"Did you hear that on Joe Rogan?" Oh, why? Like, "Oh, because the last time you gave me a tip that I'd been telling you for 15 years, you'd heard it on Joe Rogan." He said,
Yeah.
"No, some other doctor said it. It's true.
Yeah. They'll
You're
listen
supposed to
now.
have it." Oh my God.
I used to always say, like, because we did when I first got into like hormones and training, all that sort of stuff, we were trained by Charles Poliquin. We used to go to all these courses, and I would do a lot of his functional medicine ones run by other doctors. And I used to say to the integrative doctor, I think it was James Lavelle, I was like, the biosynchron way of measuring things, it's like a way that you measure skin folds and then it correlates with a hormonal profile. I said, completely ignoring progesterone. Progesterone is not analyzed on this particular test. And so all these women are coming up on your test as estrogen dominant. It's not estrogen dominance, it's lack of progesterone. And they're stressed.
Oh my God.
It's not on the test. And he'd always shut me down. I was like, eventually, I'm going to have some proof for you.
We come back to that point and actually expand on it and have a longer conversation on just that? Because I'm going to go and find the article and then we're going to do a green screen video.
Jean's like, it reminds me, I've just popped a bit of Celtic sea salt in my mouth. Yeah. Yeah. Electrolytes, so critical. A bit of salt. So good for your adrenals. Not in excess though, just a moderate amount.
All right. Do you need to go?
I do need to go. I do need to go. Lovely to chat. And hopefully we can do this again. And if people want to submit questions next time, we can sort of address them in a nice, orderly fashion. But it was nice just to have like an open chat.
Yeah, you've got a very, very vast wealth of knowledge. And so thank you for addressing people's specific questions on there. Thanks for being brave enough and jumping on Michelle.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in, everyone.
I'll make sure this recording's available somewhere. We're definitely going to do it regularly. Bring people next time, not you, Laurie. Sorry, everybody that's watching, bring people. That's right, Jane. I'll send you the recording. Let me know if you've got any questions on this topic as well, and we'll get Laws to answer them. Because it's always easier, I think, if it's specific. I don't know how people can go through life without trying to find the best person for the best answer that really knows their stuff. Like I feel like I'm a hunter in that genre.
Yeah, you really got to be active, creating your team, like it's medical team or wellness team, whatever you want to call it. Your people, you've got to find your people who are going to, one, listen to you and acknowledge what's going on for you, and then to help you investigate. Okay.
And when you don't know, how do you know? Like, all you can do is question whatever people are saying, and if it doesn't feel right, I don't know. You don't have a
you've got to ask questions, but why?
Yeah.
What about this? I've heard about that. What do you think about this? Yeah. I always say to my clients, Kate, just to probably finish up, is you used to always say to me, I see your clients as like they're the CEO. They're the CEO of their own health. And I say this, I've stolen your catchphrase, Kate. I say it to a lot of my clients in their first or second appointment. Like, I see you as the CEO of your own health, and you're using trusted advisors to help you navigate this problem or this journey, this path to wellness. You're using your trusted advisors, but ultimately you are the one making the decision. No one's forcing you to do anything. No one's, you know what I mean? It's a collaborative thing, but ultimately you're the one doing it.
You have to make the decision, take the responsibility.
You're the one drinking the water. You're the one going off and having your Celtic salt.
Or you're the one that might be either having the knee or the hip operation, or doing it the other way, the way the other surgeon, who you would presume,
or you're the one saying, look,
no, everyone gives you different advice.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And it's good to hear opinions.
That's
But
what I
eventually you
think.
need to do something, take action. So listening to opinions and advice and information is great, but eventually you've got to choose one of those things and take action on it. So you might be like, yeah, you know what, hormones, thanks for your advice, doctor, but right now I really want to try this other thing. Can you work with me while I try this other thing? Yeah, that's, you sort of have, you're active in that decision process. You're not passive. Yeah.
Decide that you just find and attract good people into your life, because you will. I don't know how I found, actually, I randomly called this doctor, this local doctor, and yeah, I've had a couple of consults with her. I
Yeah.
haven't met someone like, it's just random, so random. Usually I would ask. Anyway, just, yeah, very, very caring.
Yeah, you can definitely put it out there. And
How bizarre is that? And she's not the natural way inclined. She's not an integrative medicine doctor or, a conspiracy theorist doctor, any of those. No, but very open to this.
Yeah, she's human, empathetic, and using a bit of common sense. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Very much. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Bye.
Talk to you all soon. All right, I'll press end on here. Talk